Hey guys, Card Talker here, and today I'm here with the Dragonic Blazemaster deck profile. This one's going to be a quick one because most of you who want to build this deck probably have built it already, but are probably just curious about how I built my deck. So I'm not going to explain too much about card effects, and I'm just going to explain the cards that I'm using in this deck and why I use them. So expect this to be a sort of quick video. So for the start, I'm running Sadge. So we're running him because you can retire your opponent's units during your opponent's battle phase now, so he becomes a really useful card since you can retire another unit on your opponent's turn. So yeah, he's quite a viable card now. Your opponent does get to choose, but that's totally fine. He doesn't cast Counter Blast, so I can't really complain. Next, we're running 4 Dragonic Blazemaster because this is the Dragonic Blazemaster deck. So we're going to run Dragonic Blazemaster. For the backup Vanguard, we're running 4 Dragonic Over the Legend. Simply because he's quite similar to this card, except he searches for Flame Dragons, while this card searches for Blaze units. You can run this card instead if you want, but since I'm running the Perfect Guard Gs, I prefer to be able to search for Perfect Guard Gs over my other Blaze units. But I am running a lot of Blaze units in this deck, so if you don't have any extra the legends, then you can just feel free to run this card, because this card is a more budget option. It's even more budget if you're planning to run the Blaze Perfect Guard. But yeah. So next we're running 4 Radiant Dragon. I think this card's a pretty self-explanatory option. He's a very good card at pushing because he can pump his numbers to very high. And if you misride, it's still fine, because if you stride into a Blazemaster, you still get to use his skill. And yeah, he's just a pretty solid card overall. Next, we are running 3 Berserk Lord Dragon. So, Berserk Lord Dragon, I'm running him over Twilight Arrow. I think his name is Twilight Arrow, the Amber clone. Running him over because he doesn't need to be boosted, which is actually sometimes a problem, especially in mirror matches. Kagero isn't one of those decks that can generate a lot of cards. So if you don't have a booster, then you won't be burdened by that. You just need to be able to stride, which is not very hard. Next, we're running 4 Nadim. So Nadim is quite a good card. He puts a lot of pressure on an opponent. Not only is he an 11k attacker, but he's also a countercharger. So he's like a 12k attacker and a not 12k attacker, 11k attacker and a Bellicosity Dragon all in one. Yeah, it's quite a strong card overall. Being able to hit for it by himself is quite nice because, again, you might not always have a booster, especially in mirror matches, or if you're playing against some other deck that can remove your back row somehow. He's a very good card to run. Next, we're running 2 Marcel. Marcel, she helps you apply pressure, so it's very strong. And we're only running 2 because there's another card that I want to run instead. But Marcel is definitely a very strong card to have. I tried not running her, but I think she applies pretty good pressure if you don't have any other cards on the field that can apply pressure. Next, we're running 3 Adele. I think it's Nadell and Nadim, yeah. So originally I was running 4 of him, and I still want to run 4 of him, but this deck is actually, it's very tight on grade 1 space, so I'm running 3 for now. But yeah, he's another card that helps you countercharge, which is very essential in this deck, because this deck does counter loss a lot, and he becomes an 11k booster, so that's also very nice. And also, regards to help your Vanguard go into blazing is pretty good. She helps you go to blaze. She helps you blaze it. He helps you blaze it. He helps you blaze it. It's pretty nice to blaze it. Next, we're running 2 Belog. So Belog, actually I should explain his skill, because his skill, some people don't understand his skill, but Basically, his skill is Gen 1. When this card is placed on the Guardian Circle, you can choose one of your opponent's choose one of your Vanguards, and then until the end of the battle, your Vanguard gets a new skill, and that skill is at the end of the battle that this unit was attacked. If the attack did not hit during that battle, choose one of your opponent's rear guards and rest, and retire that unit. So it doesn't have to be the unit that attacked. You can retire something else that's rested. So if your opponent has a more useful card than the card that he attacked with, then you can just get rid of it. This card is sometimes pretty useful in Bermudas. So, or against Bermudas, because sometimes they're trying to do Olivia, and this card might cock block them. And he also works with this card, so that's good. In case you don't have the Nile Griffin, he's another option. So next we're running 3 Stride Fodder. Again, grade 1 space is really tight, so I decided to run 3 instead of my usual 4. But it's not really a problem so far, because if you ride into this, he can switch into this, so it's not that big of a problem. So running 4 Pro Guard Gs, because again, kind of lost. Better safe than sorry. Triggers, running 8 crit. 4 draw. Running these just to get rid of pesky starting Vanguards. Yeah, so I'm not running stands in this deck, even though stands are very good with Radiant Dragon, but I'd rather have cards in hand for this deck than to have an extra attack, because your opponent might be able to guard it, but then you might not be able to live it next turn. Anyway, for heals, because heal triggers are heal triggers. Yeah, because this deck doesn't really have any method to help you generate hand advantage. I mean, Marcel sort of does, but you need a hit, so it's not very reliable. But these aren't reliable either, but at least it's something if you do get into one of these. Alright, let's move on to G-Zone, because the G-Zone is quite fun. So, obviously, we're going to run 4 Taiten. So Taiten, basically he applies pressure because he does get extra critical, and you do get to kill some units, so you can blaze it easier. Next, we're running 2 Novels. I don't feel running 4 is necessary now because of G Guardians. It makes things a lot easier to guard. So I'd rather run other cards that can help me do some other things instead. Yeah. I mean, there are cards in this deck that I'm running where if you feel like you can run 4 because it's a better finisher, you can. I'm still currently tweaking the ratios, but so far 2 is fine for me. Usually using it at 5 damage, when your opponent's at 5 damage, is quite fine, especially if you have Radiant Dragon on the field that your opponent has to either guard this or dump a lot of cards, or dump their perfect guard to guard the Radiant Dragon. Next, running 2 Mustafa. Mustafa, running 2 is not mandatory. I can actually see myself running 1 less of this and then running 1 more Novell. Actually, I need to find another spot to run another Novell, but 2 Mustafa is fine. He is one of your targets for your first stride. If you stride into him, you can flip this so that when you do stride into Blazemaster, you can retire 2 units. It's a nice thing to have. Or if you want to reserve your Blazemasters, you can flip something else instead, like Dragonic. So Dragonic applies on-hit pressure. So if your opponent has some nice units on the field, you can attack with this so your opponent gets rid of more cards in hand. Or if you want to get rid of those units because you don't want to deal with them, then you stride into Mustafa. But either way, both cards are pretty good. And if everyone has a really annoying back row, you can try into Irresist. I think it's Irresist. When he hits, you can retire 1 row. So Yeah, for the cheap cost of Soul Blast 1, you can retire your opponent's whole row. Nice, it's nice. It does require on hit, so your opponents might guard it if he has a full back row of useful units. But you know, you can pray that he doesn't have a Pro Guard and he just takes the hit. And running one Sabreeze, this deck is pretty Generation Brick oriented, so running Sabreeze might be a good idea. Counterblast is the option, is a problem, I mean. So sometimes Sabreeze is not the best, but it's fine. So for the G Guardians, we're running one of the Overlord 1. Since his cost only requires you to counterblast 1 and choose 2 Flame Dragon Grade 3s in your drop zone and return to your deck, you do need an Overlord Vanguard, so the condition is that you do ride into him. But if you do misride, you still have an option to a very powerful G Guard, so it's nice. And if you don't, then you can just use a 15k shield. I'm running him in place of Dismal in this deck, because the rear guards in this deck aren't super worth keeping. Nadim is kind of, but if your opponent targets him, I guess it's worth it because you spend less cards from your hand. Anyway, next running 2 Denial Griffin. This card's amazing. It's very good at shutting down decks that chain attack, as well as decks that rely on really strong rear guards to attack with. So your opponent's like attacking with a 50k column, and then he's waiting, oh, I'm gonna get a stand trigger. You're like, nope. And your opponent goes sad face. So 2 Denial Griffins. When you run Screw, because Screw is Screw. Sometimes you need that extra guard, and Screw can help you. And we're running one of the one from Freddy's collection. This card, he gets a 5k shield if your opponent has 4 or less rear guards, which is not hard. But if your opponent, if you're in a bad matchup, then sometimes he becomes a useless card. So I'd rather have these instead. But keep in mind that these do cost Counterblast. So if you don't have Counterblast for them, then these are pretty much useless in your deck, and you need access to these. So always keep in mind to have at least 1 Counterblast open, especially if you're a heal trigger in your hand. But yeah, that's pretty much it for this Dragonic Blazemaster deck profile. Sorry if it wasn't super in-depth, but I feel like since I'm so late on this, I don't really need to explain the card effects anyway. I just need to explain my choices. Hope you guys liked it. Yeah, if you have any questions or any problems or any suggestions, then feel free to comment down below. But anyway, this is Card Taku, and I'll see you guys later. Yeah, I'll see you guys later. Bye.